Let's do this. All right, welcome. Parshas VaEschanan and Chumash and Rashi. We are in the 6th reading. Today we get something very special. We get the Shema. Let's get right into it. Shema Yisrael, hear Israel. Hashem is Elokeinu, is our God. Hashem Echad, Hashem is one. Rashi in number 4. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Hashem Shehu Elokeinu Ata. Hashem, who is our God now, meaning the Jewish people, but not the God of the other nations. Who asid liyos Hashem Echad. He is destined to be the one God for all other nations. As it says, that I shall change the nations to speak a clear language, so that they all may call out in the name of God. And it says, on that day, that Hashem will be one, and his name will be one. But right now, he's not the God of all the nations, and we see that, right? But eventually, he will be the God of all nations, and they will serve him, God, with one shoulder, with one direction.
Is that the only translation of Echad? One. I saw recently.
Yeah, Echad means one.
Where it says that, and instead of his name being one, he will be alone. He is alone, which in a way apply.
That's not what the word Echad means. No. So I would want to stick to because we're even though there's in Hasidus explains the oneness of God, right? But that's not the simple meaning. The simple meaning is as Rashi explains it. Okay. Not that what you're saying is wrong. It's just not the simple meaning. Okay. V'ahavta, and you shall love Hashem, your God, with all of your heart, with all your soul, with all of your with all of your means. Rashi, v'ahavta, and you shall love asay dvarav, perform his words, meaning his commandments. Mi ahava, do it out of love. The one who serves out of love cannot be compared to the one who serves out of fear. So remember, Rashi is learning on the simple level over here. So fear in Chassidus is never fear of punishment, but fear on a simple level is a fear of punishment, right? So therefore, doing it out of love is much greater than doing it out of fear. And the master overburdens him, and he leaves them, and he goes away from him. Right? In other words, when you're doing it out of fear, so if your master is too burdensome, you're going to leave him. So a Jew should not do out of fear, because then you're going to feel the burden of 630 mitzvahs. Do it out of love. That's what the command is. Rashi, with all of your heart. So it's got two bases over here. It should really read with all of your heart. That's the way it should be written, but it's written with two bases. So Rashi says B'shnei Yisraecha means out of the two drives, the good and the evil drive, with both of them you should love God. That's one explanation. Alternative explanation means with all of your heart. That your heart should not be divided upon God. In other words, completely with your heart, not that you're partially devoted to God and not fully. With all of your soul, even if God takes your soul, you will still be devoted to him. You will still love him. Right? With all of your ma'idecha, what does that mean? Rashi said, means with all of your possessions. Because you have people that his money and his possessions are more precious to him than his very body. right? Because this is coming after, right? First to love God, then he's going to take your life, and you'll still love him, right? And now you're going to love him with all of your possession, with all of your money. How could that come after all of your life? Because some people, money and possessions are more precious to them than their very life and their body. That's why it says, with all of your money, right? After all of your life. Okay. Davar acher, is that clear? Shimlei? Are you being present?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Davar acher, alternative explanation. B'chol ma'idecha. B'chol ma'idecha means b'chol midah midah shemeid lo lacham. So it's playing on the word ma'id. The word ma'id can be understood as the word midah, which means measure. That every measure you will praise God. Right? In other words, whatever happens to you, good or bad. Every measure that God measures out to you, whether it's a measure of goodness, whether it's a measure of punishment, right? Similarly, David said, Yeshua says, "Son, I will raise my cup in salvation." And after having said that, that I find distress and anguish. In other words, two things coming together. The same thing over here, two things coming together, good and bad, or good and not bad, but difficult. It's interesting that he doesn't say the whole thing here.
What whole thing?
So the word ma'idcha is related to the word midah, measure. Whatever God measures out to you, that you are ma'ideh. You are acknowledging and thanking God, right? Whether it's good or bad, you thank God. Right. So when it's good, you say, you bless God, right? You bless God, in other words, which means you're thanking God, right? A blessing means you're thanking. And when it's punishment, you're also thanking, because then you say, Baruch dynamics, someone passes away, right? God is the true judge. So you're blessing him. But it's interesting that he doesn't finish that off. That's from the Talmud. You know, he says that'd be interesting.
Is it always punishment? It's not necessarily punishment. The word. It's like whether something positive happens in your life or whether something negative happens in your life.
Peranius means punishment.
Praise God.
I know, but the word peranius means punishment.
The word what?
Peranius, the word peranius, you know, that Rashi uses, which is based on the Talmud, is punishment.
All right.
Right. Or retribution. You know, retribution. Yeah, punishment may be the word punishment, you know, put your nose in the corner, or put a dunce cap on, you know, is not consequential. It's not, that's punishment, but not consequential. Retribution is more consequential.
Right.
Anyway, whatever. Very interesting. There's a lot here to learn. Okay, verse number 6. And it shall be these words. That I'm commanding you today.
How would you?
Let's stick to Chumash Rashi. I don't want to go. There's a lot to learn. I'm sorry, Shimon Leib. We want to finish the Shema, so we can't digress at this point. If we have time later, then we with pleasure. Okay, and these words that I command you today, Allah, they should be upon your heart. Let's see Rashi. There's so much here. It's so full. Okay. So these words, these words shall be, right? Omahu ava. What of the love that we spoke in the previous verse? And that these words shall be upon your heart. We take kaf. As we just said that you should love God, right? And now he's saying that these things should be on your heart, right? That I'm commanding you today. Allah, they should be on your heart. Well, you just said you should love God. So is this not redundant? So he explains, that these words should be upon your heart. As a result of this, by reflecting on the words of Torah, you become aware of God. And then you will cleave and attach yourself to his ways. So before it wasn't saying that to cleave in his ways. Here it's saying, in other words, contemplate Torah is an expression of the love of God, and it will bring you to an awareness of him. Interesting. So the key over here, Shimon Leib, because before it says to love God, right? But it didn't say in what manner to love God. Now it's telling us when you will contemplate words of Torah and have it on your heart, that will, the Torah that you have, that's an expression of the love of God, right? Because they're going to bring you to an awareness of him. Okay, interesting. Okay, a lot to say on this, but we don't have the time. All right. Next Rashi. That I command you today. What do you mean I command you today? Shmuel, did God command you today?
Sorry?
Did he?
Yeah.
Where so?
Sorry?
How did he command you today? Because the verse says that. What does it mean that he commanded you today? He commanded you yesteryear. He commanded you in Mount Sinai. Why is it saying? One second. There's a question before you give an answer. Was the question emphatic?
Question what?
Emphatic? If you don't, you know what emphatic means?
Emphatic?
Yeah.
No.
Like pronounced. To have a clear answer, you have to have a clear question first.
Right.
So if you don't have the clear question and you give an answer, that means you don't have clarity on either the question or the answer.
Right.
So you need the question first, emphatic, clear. The question and clear is, what do you mean today he commanded? God did not command today. That's Rashi's problem. And therefore Rashi now says, let's leave Rashi. These words should not be in your eye, like an old edict. That a person doesn't attach importance to it, right? Because it's something old. Hey, I read that book a long time ago. Old book, right? But rather, but it should be new. Everybody runs to get it. The yukna, mitzvah melech habam b'michtav. It's like like a new edict. The king is sending a new letter to the people, right? So everybody's running to hear what's the king coming to say because it's a new letter from the king. So likewise, Torah should be new to you, right? Then it shouldn't be something old. That's what Rashi is saying. That's what it means he commands you today. Okay, next, right? Verse number 7. Vishinantam lebenecha, and you shall teach them to your children, and you shall speak in them. Speak in what? What's the them? Who's the them? Speak in words of Torah, right? When you're sitting in your house, when you're walking on your way, when you get up and when you go to sleep and when you wake up, right? So lots here. Let's see Rashi. But Rashi doesn't say everything that there is on these things. He's giving us only the simple meaning, remember. Vishinantam. So that's an unusual word, Vishinantam. Because it should be lemadatem. Teach them to your children. Why is it shinantam? So Rashi explains the word shina lasha chidud. It's an expression of sharpness, which implies that the words of Torah should be sharp in your mouth, right? Sometimes I'm sorry that I might be sharp. It's because the words of Torah are meant to be sharp, that you get the sharpness of it. that you get the, Shimalev, you're with me. Yeah, you're hearing what I'm saying. Okay.
I'm hearing it.
Okay.
Will I remember it?
No, but stay focused to it instead of focused on reading further. Okay.
I'm reading the passage you're actually doing right now.
So, but I'm explaining that the sharpness, right, in learning is precision. Like a sharp knife is going to, give a precise slice, right? As opposed to something that's not. That if a person will ask you a matter of Torah, that you should not be able have to hesitate about it. But you'll be able to say immediately. In other words, you have it clear that you can give it over. It means clarity. Okay, levanecha. Now look at this. It's amazing. This is it says to your sons. Levanecha means to your sons. Rashi says, Eila Talmidim means these are your disciples, your students. Doesn't mean literally your physical sons, but your spiritual sons. Patina b'chol malkam, we find in many places that disciples, students are called sons. As we say that we are sons to Hashem, your God. And it says the sons of the prophets who were in Bethel, right? Which means who's the sons of the prophets? It means the students. Like with Israel, that he taught all of Israel, and he called all of Israel his sons. Shenemar says, Tishalu, my sons, do not neglect now. So just as disciples are called sons, likewise the teacher is called a father. Shenemar Avi Rechav Israel, as my father, chariot of Israel, as it says in the book of Kings, right? Referring to a teacher as a father, right? That's we think of the Rebbe as our father. I think of him that way at least, right? Because he's, teacher. Okay. Next, you shall speak in them, meaning in the words of Torah. The main things that you should speak about is nothing but them, words of Torah. Also, make them the main thing. Don't make them secondary. Right? The main thing in your life should be speaking words of Torah. In other words, the main thing is to be taken in a qualitative sense. Not necessarily that more time is spent in learning Torah. You hear that, Shimon? Doesn't mean, It means that the most important quality of your time is in the words of Torah, as opposed to other things. Because, someone has a livelihood to make, so they're going to spend more time in their livelihood than they're going to spend 8 hours at work. They're not spending 8 hours learning Torah. So then what does this mean? It means the quality, meaning the most important thing in your day is to speak in them, not in work, for example. And when you lie down, Rashi, Yochel, one might think that on basis alone of this verse, that one must recite the Shema, even when he lay down, in the middle of the day. Right? This verse is coming to tell us when you have the mitzvah to say the Shema. When do we have the mitzvah to say the Shema, Shimon?
Mitzvah to say the Shema?
We say it twice a day, right? The mitzvah. In the morning and the evening. That's twice a day.
In the morning, but don't we say it even before?
No, the mitzvah. We're not talking about what you do is one thing. We're talking about the mitzvah, biblical mitzvah. This is a biblical mitzvah. This is biblical law here, right?
Right.
So you might think that when you go to lie down in the middle of the day, you have to say the Shema because the verse just said, when you lie down. So when you lie down in the middle of the day, you have to say the Shema. You might think that, right? So, but the verse tells us otherwise. When you rise, so I might think on that basis alone of the verse then one might recite the Shema, afilu amad, even if you got up, in the middle of the night. Because it says when you get up, so maybe in the middle of the night, Talmud Lai, remember the verse says otherwise, when you sit in your home and while you walk on your way, so the Torah is not speaking about what you do specifically, individually, but what is done normally, right? What's normal habits? Bisman shchiva, when you go to lie down. Bisman kima, when you wake up. So that's when you have the mitzvah to say the Shema. When you wake up and when you lie down.
Basically, when you're going to bed and you rise up from bed, going to bed for the evening.
Yeah.
And wake up in the morning.
Which means nighttime and the first thing in the morning. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, but that's the answer, but that was not the learning. The learning of it was you might think that whenever you lie down, you have to say the Shema. Because it says when you lie down,
right?
So maybe that's what it means. So because it says also when you get up, so it means no. In the end, what it means is when regularly people do it, not when individually what you do. The normal habit is you don't wake up in the middle of the night. I mean, normal, unless you're. Unless you're over whatever age. Okay, verse 8. We're good?
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, let's truck. And you shall bind them for a sign on your arm, and they should be for frontlets or ornaments between your eyes. So on your arm and on Rashi. They should be a sign on your arm. These are tefillin on the arm. Why does Rashi have to say that? We knew that. Because you know why? Because we didn't know that if we just read it on our own. We only know because we learned it, right? But the verse isn't saying tefillin. It says to tie. Maybe who knows what to tie? She said, no, this refers to tefillin.
This the first time they're saying it? I don't remember.
No, we had it already in Shema.
This is a review of what was previously said.
Well, no, the Shema is the first time. Shema is the first time, right? But the mitzvah of tefillin we already had in Parshas Boy. Right. We had it there before we went out of Egypt, even. Right? So they should be also they should be frontlets, between your eyes. So Rashi says, this refers to the tefillin, the phylacteries in I think Latin, on your head. Al Shem Minyan Parshi is saying, why is it called Taitafais? The word ois means a sign, right? So that's on your arm, it's a sign. But the head doesn't, it's called Taitafais, which is an unusual term. So what does that mean? So Nikra Taitafais is called Taitafais Tat Kaspi Shtaim. Because in the language of Kaspi, don't ask me what language that is, because I don't speak it. Tat means two. Pas, Afrikai Shtaim. And the word pas, you have in Afriki means two. So you have 2 and 2 equals 4, right? So on the head tefillin, you have 4 compartments. That's where we get it from. Got it? Okay, amazing. Oh, so he translates over here that in Coptic and in Firgay. Okay, languages I did not learn yet, except I knew one word in each language. Pretty good, huh? Okay, and you shall inscribe them al mezuzahs upon your mezuzah, which means a doorpost. Beisech of your house, and on your gates. Rashi number 9. Mezuzahs beisecha, the doorpost of your house. Mezuzahs ksiv. It's written without a vav. Shein tzarich ela achas. You only need one. In other words, it's missing a vav,
What do they mean upon your gate? That like.
We did,
you
well, one
have
second,
it.
well, one second, let's learn what we're learning. We didn't get there yet. We're only speaking about now the word mezuzah, right? So the word mezuzah is missing a vav in its full spelling. Ah, so remember doorposts, right, in a passageway are two. So it says mezuzahs, which is actually a plural word, doorposts. So by the sounds of it, you should put on both doorposts. But since it's missing a vav, so that's to indicate to us lacking one, meaning only one doorpost. So then why didn't it just say mezuzas? It said mezuzois, which would mean singular, because it needs to have a passageway of two doorposts. And there'll be distinction in halacha as a result of that. Wow.
Passageway of two doorposts,
Yeah.
one on each side or one behind the other.
No, one on each side. But then if it says to put mezuzahs plural on doorposts, so then why aren't we putting on both doorposts? That's how it sounds.
Right.
So that's what Rashi says. Since it's written without the vav, it's lacking, means you're lacking a doorpost in the putting up of the mezuzah, but it needs to be two doorposts. All right.
Well, we never put it on two doorposts.
Yeah, but we're learning Chumash and Rashi. What's it got to do with what we do?
That means 1,000 years ago, they put it on two doorposts.
No, that's what we're learning. Rashi said not that way.
Not that way.
Right, but it's from learning. It's not from what you do. We're learning now. We're not talking about what we do, right? We're learning it. What's the verse mean?
But we learn what to do and then do it.
Not when you're learning Chumash or Rashi. You're learning Chumash and how Rashi understands the verse. You know, don't live in what we're doing. Don't live elsewhere. We're living now in the verse and how Rashi understands it in the simple meaning. We're not living in the world of Jewish law because we're not learning Jewish law. So don't live in that world. Live in the world of what the verse is saying and how Rashi is understanding it in its simple meaning as opposed to homiletic meaning, mystical meaning, right? In hinted meaning. We're only learning in a simple meaning.
The whole point of
Okay.
of Torah is
No.
to give us a guide on how we should live and how we should behave, what we should do.
Yeah, that's in general, not when you're learning Chumash and Rashi. Is you have to understand the verse, what it means. If you don't understand the verse, what it means simply, then you won't know what the halacha, how to learn the halacha in the end. And I just explained something here on how that makes a distinction, right? So we got to learn what we're learning, not learn. Can't learn it. We can't learn something else if we're not learning. If we don't learn what we learn. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you know what? No. What I really suggest is, I know when you focus, you get it, but you're not focused right now. That's why you're not getting it.
I am focused.
No. Focus on what I'm saying, not just, and then
I understand what you're saying.
I don't think you understood.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
You're saying we should focus on or do, not do, but
No, I'm talking about when I learned the
Rashi.
Rashi. When I'm learning the Chumash and Rashi, if I know. I focus on the Chumash and Rashi. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's focus.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Visharecha, next Rashi. Let's do the next Rashi.
Right.
In number 9, okay? Upon your gates. Right?
Right.
So Rashi, the Rabbi Sharei Chatzeris. What do we need? Why is this written? To include gates of the courtyard. In other words, not gates of your home, Because if you have gates in your home, then it's part of your home and you don't need to say it. So why is the verse say it? Because outside of your home, called the courtyard, there too you have to put up a mezuzah. The shouting Medinas, and not only that, but the entrance to the cities, which are to Medinas rather, to the countries, which are Yarais and the gates of the city. There used to be, like the customs place, and there used to be gates. There used to be gates to a country, gates to a city. Those places also, you have to put mezuzah if it belongs to, if it's a Jewish city.
Some places have gates to their house.
We just said that before. That was the first thing we just said.
Okay.
That was the first thing we just read what Rashi said, gates to your courtyards.
Right.
Then he went gates to the cities, to the provinces, or to the city, or to the country, or gates to the cities. They also need. That's what the verse is coming to tell. That word in addition is coming to say. Because if you have gates in your home, well, that's, if it's got two doorposts, then you got to put up. Okay, we finished the Shema. Amazing. Okay. And it will be when Hashem, he will bring you, Hashem your God, is to the land that he has sworn to your forefathers, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, let's say, to give to you, Orim Gedalis, to give to you great cities, and that are good. And he said that you did not build. Obatim Malayim, and houses that are full, of all good things. Malay said that you did not fill them with all that good. And cisterns and chatzuvim that are hewn. They had cisterns in the ground, right? That are hewn. That you did not, that you're not hew, and that you didn't dig to put them there, kromim, and also vineyards, the zaysim, and olive trees. That you did not plant, and you will eat and you'll be satisfied. Okay? So you're getting this as a gift. 11. Chatzuvim, that they were hewn out, lefishu mokam tarashim, because it's in a stony ground, with sloyim, with rocks. That's why he uses the fern chatziva to hewn, because it's you got to carve out, right? As opposed to if it's just regular ground, then you don't have to hewn, right? Then you just dig. But it's using, in other words, because it's going to be even a rocky terrain, you're going to find cisterns there, right? Things you're going to get all this good coming into this land, right? So now what? Okay, so what's the point? Next verse. We're in 12. We're reading the verse and only the verse, and then we only then go into Rashi to understand the verse. Beware, lest, right? For yourself, lest you forget. It's Hashem, God. Every time that he took you out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage. Rashi. So if he took you out of Egypt, why does he have to say the house of bondage? So Rashi says, base of Adim, it should be understood. Targuma Zunkel explains it. The base of Adusaf and the house of slavery, in Malcolm Sheism Sham Avadim, a place that you had been slaves. Okay. And that doesn't mean a house that belonging to slaves, but in a house of slaves. Okay. All right. 13 rather. As Hashem Elokecha, and Hashem, your God. Tirda, you should fear. And him you should serve. And swear by his name. Okay. We get the servant. What does it mean to swear in God's name? So 13. You should in his name swear. If you have all these traits present in you, in other words, that you that you fear his name, and you serve God. Then you can swear in God's name. Because as a result of your God-fearing, you're going to be careful with your oath. But if you're not God-fearing, but you don't have those two conditions of being God-fearing and serving God, you should not swear in God's name. Interesting. Not clear why about all the good that you're getting. Right? What was about all that good? I think what it means, all that good, what's going to be, what happens when people get a lot, when they get plenty, they forget God. That's what he's saying. Don't forget God. You have a sense of God's presence, fear of God, and worship him, serve him. Then you could swear in God's name, right? Don't go after other gods. From the gods of the nations or the people that are around you. Okay. In other words, when you're going to go, remember, this is all empowerment for the Jewish people going into the land of Canaan. Right? So Rashi in 14. I'm the gods of the people that are around you. This holds true for the gods of those people who are distant. But since you see those who are around you, straying after these false gods, so the verse had to warn us regarding especially them. And wouldn't have been enough to say, don't go after other gods. What do you mean they're around you? Because when you're going to go into the land of Canaan, those people are going to be around you, right? So they're going to, they're going to have more of an effect upon you rather than those who are distant from you. So therefore, it's emphasizing that. Okay. 15.
Another commentary about the effect that your neighbors have on you.
Exactly.
And then when you move into a place, you should learn who your neighbors are,
right?
Even before you.
Yeah. Very good. Excellent. Yeah. 15. Ki kel kana. Why do you have to careful of this? For Hashem, he is a kel kana elakecha b'kirbecha, because he is a zealous God. Hashem, your God, is zealous among you. Lest you inflame the wrath of God in you, against you. You kindle, and he will destroy you from the face of the earth. Listen, Asu. It's interesting. What it means when destroy you off the face of the earth. Right? Kick us out of Israel is one thing, but why on the face of the earth? Like, it makes it sound like as if we won't exist. That's kind of the opposite of eternal people. I guess individually. That doesn't mean collectively as a people. I guess it's referring only. It's an individual thing, because here it's speaking also in you, singular, not plural. Yeah. So okay, speaking individually. Do not test. Don't try Hashem your God. As you did in Masa. Rashi, what was Masa? Rashi in 16, yeah? The Masa, at Masa, when you departed from Egypt, you tested him by the waters. Right? Is God in our midst? We were questioning, God, where are you? What? I was like, like we say to people, like, what have you done for me lately? Like, who are you after all? You haven't done anything for me lately. It was kind of like what the Jews were saying to God. Shamor, heed, tishmerun, heed, you shall heed. In other words, diligently keep es mitzvahs Hashem, alekechem, the mitzvahs of Hashem, your God, ve'idaisav, and his testimonies, the chukav, and his statutory laws, asher tzivcha, as he's commanded you. 18. Vasisa is an interesting verse over here. I mean, they're all interesting, but just actually heard a sikh on this. Vasisa, and you shall do hayashar, that which is straight, proper, hatoiv, and the good. So be straight, be proper, and be good, be'enei Hashem, in the eyes of God, not in your own eyes, what's good. In the eyes of God, what's considered proper and good. Leman, in order, right? Yitav lach, that it'll be good for you. Vasa, and you will come, and you will come and take possession of the land, that's good, this good land. That Hashem has sworn to your forefathers. Rashi, okay, that which is proper and good. Zu pshara lifnei mishur zazim. This refers to be compromising. In other words, acting beyond the strict law. It's going beyond the letter of the law. That's what it means. So actually, Rashi didn't say here, but just learning a sikha, that our sages learn from here. This is the where we learn the law of din bar metzra. Bar metzra, we've discussed this in the past, that if you have a land adjacent, another person's land, right, neighboring land, and you want to sell your land. But you're next to your neighbor, he has the right of first refusal if you're selling it, right? Why? Sell it to whoever I want. If you gift it, is a different story. Then you can gift it to whoever you want. But if you're selling it, he has the right of first refusal. Why? Because it says do what's proper and good in the eyes of God. And if he's his neighbor and he could get now two land plots next to each other, of course, it's going to be easier for him to do his farming, right? So do that. Now, that means first right refusal. He's got to pay the money that someone else would pay. If someone else is going to pay more, then you don't have to sell it to him, right? But he has the right of first refusal for the amount. But that's not the simple meaning, okay? That's the sages. I just added something here. It probably shouldn't have done it. All right. Okay. You should drive out all of your enemies before you. Kasher dibar Hashem, as Hashem has spoken. Kasher dibar, Rashi 19. Where did he say this? That you should drive out. And it says you shall confuse the people. That's already in Exodus, in Parsha, I forget what Parsha it is, but it says there. Okay? Okay. 20. When your son's going to ask you tomorrow, meaning after some time, Lamar, what are the testimonies, and the statutory laws, and the ordinances, that Hashem our God has commanded you. Does that sound familiar, Shimulay? What we just learned in 20?
Yeah.
Yeah, where's it from?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Huh? Liba.
Where?
Davida.
For the Amida, yeah.
No.
Right.
No, it's not the Amida.
No.
Anybody home?
No.
The four sons. This is the Chacham. This is the wise son's question.
Oh, during the Pesach Seder.
During the Pesach Seder. The wise son's question, Ki Ishalcha, when he will ask you. There's 4 times in the Torah that says 4 sons that ask, right? So they're based on verses in the Torah. This is the wise son's question. Rashi, Ki Ishalcha bin Chamacha, when your son will ask you tomorrow. Machar means tomorrow. Rashi said, Yesh machar shu achar zman. There's the word machar normally would be, I don't know normally, but yeah, normally would mean tomorrow, but it can also mean tomorrow after time, like not literally tomorrow, right? But tomorrow meaning, like, when you say to your kids sometimes, yeah, tomorrow. What did you mean tomorrow? You mean like, next year, right? Right. So the word tomorrow doesn't necessarily mean literally. It can mean like, yeah, and then sometime. Okay. And what are you going to say to your son? Avadim ayinu leFaro. We were slaves to Pharaoh, but Mitzrayim in Egypt. Hashem in Mitzrayim biyad chazaken, and God, He took us out from Egypt with a strong hand. Does anybody have a question on this? Any problem with this? No one. No one's home, huh?
No, people are home.
No.
People are here. People are listening.
I know.
Don't
So,
all
but you
know what it is.
I know, but what do we answer the Chacham in the Haggadah? We answer him, don't eat after the Afikomen. You don't answer that here. You know what this answer over here is? This is the answer to the simple son, to the Tam,
Amazing you remember it.
right? To the simple son. We say, right? We answered him that we were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt and he took us out from with a strong hand. That's what we answer the simple son. So the obvious question, the Haggadah is different. Okay, can be, but question is, what's the distinct? Why? But we're not gonna. I don't remember. Because it's not Rashi exactly. That's why Rashi. By the way, that's why Rashi doesn't address it, because the Haggadah is a biblical text, a text that it's a contradiction. I mean, in other words, Rashi isn't addressing it because it's not a question for a biblical verse. It's a question in Torah learning. Okay. Yitin Hashem he says, and Hashem, He gave to us signs, B'ifsim, wonders, Gedolim, there are great wonder, great, Viroyim, and terrible. B'mitzrayim in Egypt, B'parai, upon Pharaoh, and his entire home to our very eyes, before our eyes. 23. VaEschanan misham, and also He took us out from there. Laman havi, in order to bring us, Isanu, us, to give to us is to the land that He swore to our forefathers. And He commanded us, God, to do all of the statutory laws, these. To fear Hashem our God, that it would be good for us. All of the days to keep us alive as of this day, this very day. It's tzedakah tiyelanu, and it will be a tzedakah for us. He says a merit, he translates over here. Yeah, okay. A merit for us. Ki nishba la'aseh, because he swore to do eskola mitzvah. Ki nishmor, sorry, not nishba. Yeah, nishmor, that we observe la'aseh, to do eskola mitzvah, all of the mitzvahs. Hazo is this. If Hashem Elokeinu b'kasher sivanu, before Hashem our God, as He commanded us. We finished it. Mazel tov.
What is he saying for our merit? Meaning that
to fulfill the mitzvahs.
The reward we'll get.
No, the fulfillment.
What?
The fulfillment is a merit for us.
Not the reward that we'll get if we follow all His commandments. We'll have
it'll be good for us.
Close to God.
Yeah, He didn't say that, but yeah. Okay, amazing.